The SEC East hasn't been able to pull off a single conference title win since 2008, but this season there's been a lot of talk behind the Georgia Bulldogs taking the title. I've got college football betting expert Ryan Legates, who many of you probably know as the sports guy on his Twitter handle. He's with us now to break down his predictions for UGA in the upcoming season. Ryan, what are some of the key components to success for the Dogs in the SEC East this season?
Well, first and foremost, definitely getting a quarterback. Right now, there's a little bit of a quarterback controversy. They got three people competing over the job right now. The front runner is definitely Bryce Ramsey. This could be a blessing in disguise for the Dogs because last year they really did have average play from their quarterback. So if one of them can stand out, it's definitely going to be great for the Dogs. On top of that, you have Jeremy Pruitt, who's actually in his second year now as defensive coordinator. He really won over the people in Athens and the players due to his high energy and passion. He's won national titles at Florida State and Alabama as a coordinator. So him coming back in his second year is really going to be a good addition. And on top of that, the big newcomer coming in is actually Brian Schottenheimer. He's actually the son of NFL coach Marty Schottenheimer. He coached in the NFL as an offensive coordinator, and he also had his name brought up in some head coaching jobs in the NFL. So his experience is going to be great. And he has one of the top running back backfields in the nation with Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb, and the veteran Keith Marshall. On top of that, they have seven all SEC preseason players. So the expectations are definitely high in Athens this year.
All right, then let's talk about week one because the Dogs are going to face Louisiana Monroe, as a 35-point favorite, minus 110 on both sides of that at 5 times. That's a huge number, Ryan, but we both know how electric Athens can be for opening game day. Do you think Georgia will cover that number?
That is a big number, but if you look back last year, they actually had two big spreads. One of them was a 42-point spread. That was against Charleston Southern. They covered that game by winning 55-9. They also had a 41-point spread against Troy at home. They won that game 66-0. So they can cover the big spreads at home. I would be a little bit nervous just with the quarterback, kind of being up in the air, as well as an offensive coordinator coaching his first game at the school. That is a lot of points. Louisiana Monroe is coming off a 4-8 season. On top of that, they do return 15 starters, but they have just as much questions as quarterback as Georgia, if not more. They actually have a 6-man competition right now for their starting quarterback. So to be honest, I really think this is more of a stay-away game. The line movement has moved from 31 to 35. So if anything, I would favor Georgia here in a big blowout game. But like I said, I think there's more value on the board in other games.
All right, now we've talked a lot about quarterback, but I want to talk about this running back, Nick Chubb. He's only a sophomore, rushing 215 times for 1,487 yards and 14 touchdowns. As a true freshman last season, he's ranked in the top 5 contenders to take the Heisman this season. Do you think he will be a big enough force in the league to take home the award this year?
Well, I don't even know where to start with Nick Chubb. I have so many good things to say about the guy. I mean, he's just amazing. First of all, Georgia's always had the talented running backs. A lot of times they came with character issues, though. With Nick Chubb, that's exactly the opposite. There's nothing, no rumors around campus, nothing like that with him. Everything about him is that he's a hardworking guy. And the numbers that you just stated, that was over, the whole year. But if you just look at after Todd Gurley's suspension, which was 7 games, he actually averaged over 165 yards per game, along with 13 combined touchdowns. If you put that on a 13-game platform, that's actually over 2,000 yards he'd be projected to run for. Another thing going for Chubb's advantage is that he has 4 of his offensive linemen back. 2 of those 4 offensive linemen are actually preseason all-SEC players. So the holes that were there last year should be there this year with the big uglies blocking up front. And a great story about Nick Chubb is actually came from one of his offensive linemen this summer. They asked him, why doesn't he tweet or why doesn't he Instagram like most athletes do? His response is absolutely classic. What he said back to him was, have you ever seen Lamborghini have a commercial? And he said, no. And he said, exactly. I don't need to advertise.
Well, Nick Chubb certainly has a lot of talent to back that up, Ryan. 10-3 last season, just as a true freshman. Now, the season wins total for UGA at 5 times right now is sitting at 9. It's sort of unfortunate that the Dogs have to play 2 of the toughest teams in the SEC West, Auburn and Alabama this season. What do you think on that wins total line, Ryan? Over or under 9 wins?
This is a bet I really love. I really love the over on this win total. That is a very valid point. They do have two tough teams to play, but with how tough the SEC West is this year, no matter who you match up with that side, is going to be a pretty tough game. I feel like the Dogs are pretty fortunate to catch Bama at home. On top of that, they have two other big home games. That would be against Missouri and South Carolina, which are two of their SEC East rivals. A couple big road games for them would be at Tennessee, who, like I said, I feel like they're still a year away. They got a lot of talent, but I feel like if they can go on the road, get that win. They play Georgia Tech on the road as well. They lost to them last year, which is a rivalry game at home. I just don't see them losing on the road again to Georgia Tech this year. There's just not too many games that they'll be an underdog for. So for that win total only to be sitting at 9, bettors are going to have to go 9, or their Dogs are going to have to go 9-3 for bettors to push there. I feel like that would be a huge letdown as of a season for the Dogs for them to go 9-3. For them to go 10-2, I feel like is almost going to be a letdown. So for bettors to actually lose that bet, the Dogs would have to go 8-4, which frankly I just do not see happening with their schedule and talent this year.
We're getting close here, Ryan. 5 weeks away from the season kickoff. Give us your favorite play on the Georgia Bulldogs for 2015-16 season.
My favorite play is actually for them to win the SEC East. The reason why that's the case is, like I talked about, I think Tennessee is going to be their closest contender. I still feel like they're about a year away, though. On top of that, you got Florida. They got a first-year coach. They were pretty weak last year. Missouri's lost a lot of personnel. And then, like I said, South Carolina's always came back to kind of bite Georgia, but Georgia's got them at home this year and a lot more talented team. So for them to be plus 165 to win the East, I almost feel like they should be giving money in that situation. So to have plus odds for them to win the East, I just feel like they're the clear-cut favorite and the best team with talent. And with all that talent, I just feel like, that's a great bet to make.
College football expert analyst Ryan Legates, thanks so much for joining us. You can follow the Sports Guy on Twitter all season long for top-rate free picks and sports betting advice on upcoming season. And for the best inside edge on college football action, keep it locked right here with us at Sportsbook Review.